and counseling arena. So Eric, welcome to your first meeting. The
Sorry, Chair.
item on, are we good?
Also, Kelly, and I don't want to mispronounce your last name, but from HRC, she is new
Okay.
very recently.
Okay,
I'm
you caught up to
Kelly
me. Thank you.
Kapoor. Yeah.
Kapoor. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. So we will move into the agenda, and I will turn the floor over to Executive Director Brackell to brief us on the stipulation agreement 2020 TAM in regard to Benjamin Gates. Director Brackell, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. No pressure here. This is not going to be the same briefing that you were used to from Kim McManus. So thankfully she's not here today and Kim is taking her place, which is great. Starting with this stipulated agreement, I'm first going to just start with the precursor category B1 offense, which is what brings us to this stipulated agreement today. And so I just want to outline for members of the council that on August 21st of 2021, under docket number 2020ZKT, the council had received a complaint relative to unprofessional conduct that they reviewed after an internal affairs investigation on November 22nd of 2021. And there was a finding of a violation of the St. Albans Police Department standards of conduct policy. That professional misconduct involved the respondent performing surveillance while off duty without prior approval to perform and conduct such surveillance. And pursuant to the Professional Regulation Subcommittee procedures, the respondent, who is Benjamin Gates, received notice by letter by certified mail on March 13th, 2023 of that category B1 finding. And there was a return receipt, which was received back by the council on March 21st, acknowledging that that letter had been received. As this was the first violation of unprofessional conduct, no sanction could be imposed by law. So that is the predetermining category B1 offense that leads us to this stipulated agreement today. The stipulated agreement today that the council is going to review is docket number 2020TAM. And just to outline this order, the respondent, who is Benjamin Gates of St. Albans, currently holds a level 3 Vermont law enforcement certification issued by the council on May 27th, 2011. And he is currently employed by the St. Albans Police Department. Acknowledging with this stipulated agreement that he has had the advice of counsel and that he agrees and understands that by exercising this document, he is waiving any right to challenge the jurisdiction and continuing jurisdiction of the council on this matter, and to be presented with evidence against him, to cross-examine adverse witnesses, and to offer evidence of his own to contest any of the state's allegations or findings. So moving from that to the findings of fact, the council did receive a complaint of unprofessional conduct on December 7th of 2022. The subcommittee had reviewed that and determined that the facts established by the investigation that was conducted on behalf of the St. Albans Police Department supported a finding of unprofessional conduct, and by a vote on November 2nd, 2023, concluded in relevant and part that the respondent had engaged in category B conduct, this being the second offense. The state is specifically alleging that on December 6th, 2022, the respondent crossed the threshold of a private residence to make an arrest of an individual with a known arrest warrant. The respondent did not have a search warrant for the home when he entered the home, nor were any exigent circumstances present that would justify his warrantless entry into the home. The state is alleging that the respondent's conduct was in violation of the St. Albans Police Department policy under arrest and investigatory stops, procedures, and arrests, section D3F, which reads in part that no officer shall enter the premises owned or occupied by a third person to make an arrest unless the officer has a separate legal basis for entering the premises. Such a basis can be provided by possession by the officer of a search warrant for those premises, consent of a person with apparent authority by law to give such consent, or exigent circumstances. As a result, the conclusions of law fall back to the unprofessional conduct standards, which were pre-January 1, which now follow the Code of Conduct. And as a result of this matter, Category B conduct is defined as gross professional misconduct amounting to actions on duty or under the authority of the state, or both, that involve a willful failure to comply with the state required policy, or a substantial deviation from professional conduct as defined by the law enforcement agency's policy, or if not defined by the agency's policy, then defined by council policy. The state is alleging that the respondent engaged in prohibited Category B conduct by entering a private residence to perform an arrest without the legal right to do so. And the respondent is also acknowledging that if this matter were to proceed to a contested hearing, that the state has the relevant evidence that, if accepted by the council, could adequately support the conclusion that the respondent engaged in Category B conduct of the second offense. This stipulation and consent order is conditioned upon the acceptance and ratification of the council. And the respondent acknowledges and understands that this stipulation and consent order shall be a matter of public record, be entered into his permanent council file, and shall be reported to other authorities, including the International Association of Law Enforcement Standards and Training National Decertification Index. The order of this stipulation agreement is ordering that the respondent is issued a 5-day suspension to run concurrent with his agency's disciplinary action, and that the respondent is required to complete additional training on search and seizure of persons with a warrant and provide proof of those trainings to the Vermont Criminal Justice Council. The respondent shall also provide a complete copy of this stipulation and consent order to any Vermont law enforcement agency for which he works, or to any prospective Vermont law enforcement agency to which he makes an application for employment, as well as to any state regulatory body or other certification authority related to law enforcement officers in any location or jurisdiction where he may apply for law enforcement officer employment for as long as this stipulation and consent order remains in effect. The respondent also agrees to be bound by the terms and the conditions of this stipulation and consent order. So just for a recap, the council received this complaint on December 7th of 2022. An internal affairs investigation was completed by the agency on January 4th of 2022. The professional regulations subcommittee reviewed this case on November 2nd of 2023 and voted for a finding of a Category B2 second offense. Relative to this agreement, the officer has served his 5-day suspension, and he has completed training on search and seizure of persons with a warrant on January 28th of 2023. And the council has also received proof of training on January 30th, as well as a review of their policy on warrantless searches. As such, the council only has the authority under statute to handle one of 4 sanctions as a result of the stipulated agreement. One is a written warning. The second is a suspension, but to run concurrently with the length and time of any suspension imposed by a law enforcement agency with an effective internal affairs program, which shall amount to a suspension for time already served if an officer has already served a suspension imposed by his or her agency with such a program. The third is a revocation with the option of recertification at the discretion of the council, or for permanent revocation. Just for this body's information, I have had conversations with the St. Albans Police Department, with this officer's legal counsel, as well as with the officer himself. The agency is well aware of the fact that this was a violation of their department's policy and took the effective sanctions that they felt were reasonable, and have continued to value the work of this officer, and knowing that he is a contributing member of that department, and wanted to make sure that the subcommittee was aware of those facts when they were handed what the sanction was by the agency from the Internal Affairs investigation. So as a matter of course, that is the stipulated agreement before you. It is now up to the council to determine whether or not they want to ratify this stipulated agreement.
Thank you, Chair Burkell, for that background in this case. Do we have any public discussion of the agreement? It seems fairly straightforward. Kelly Price, please.
Morning, Chair. I just had a couple questions for clarification, if you don't mind. Pardon me. Could I get an answer to how many days suspension were given to this officer from the department, aside from anything that the council is going to impose? As my first question.
That was a 5-day suspension issued by the agency.
The second question, just more of these clarification. Pardon me, I got a frog in my throat this morning. The first offense that you mentioned was something unrelated to this current one. You said that there was a first offense involving surveillance off duty. Was that correct?
That's correct.
And then the second one was the one in question now.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Those are the questions I had. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? If we don't, just particularly for our new members, the process here is we would need to entertain a motion from the floor, keeping in mind that the members of the Professional Regulation Subcommittee are not able to vote on this or comment on this case. And we would take that motion from the floor and then act as a council to essentially endorse it. This is, if I understand, Chris, the facts of this case, it's essentially happened. The suspension has been served. The training has taken place. We're simply ratifying that through this agreement. Having said that, do we have a motion to accept the agreement? I see a hand up by Mark Anderson. Is that a motion?
It is a motion, but not the motion you suggested, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we enter into executive session to discuss whatever the appropriate legal citation I need to make.
Okay. With that motion, then we would need a second on that motion. And I will remind, because this was not previously warned as an executive session, we will need a 2/3 vote to go into executive session.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I heard a second.
Second that.
It's out there. Okay, second, third. Okay. Lindsay, do you have your maybe raising the hands would be better on your computer so Lindsay can see this. All of those in favor of moving into executive session signify by saying aye. Raise the hands. Any opposed to executive session? I'm seeing none. So moving into executive session, I'm going to make a friendly amendment to that motion to include Executive Director Burkell and Lindsay as the administrative support for our session.
I accept, Mr. Chair.
Okay. No controversy there. Then we will move into executive session. Lindsay, if you could provide us with the appropriate links. Okay, you're gonna have to help me. Where do I get this link? Okay.
Lindsay is doing this on the fly because there was not an executive
Okay, we'll
session.
pair. Okay, no rush.
Give
No
her a
rush.
minute.
Okay, everybody should have a session. If anybody has not gotten it, please let me know. You can type it in chat and I will come back over to let you in.
You have to work with me here. I'm a little foggy today.
No worries.
Where's
So it should have gone to email. I can also
Okay.
call you into the session when I pop over.
I do not see it on email.
I do not yet either.
Oh, you're right, you don't. Hold on. We'll put that on. Else, right?
While we're waiting for our new members here, we are a well-oiled machine. This is not indicative of how we run meetings.
They're already over
Uh,
there. Sadie and Tom, have you gotten yours?
Okay,
No.
I just
No?
got mine.
Okay.
I'm going over.
Me too.
Sadie, are you on CCVS? I think I sent to the other one, so.
Says I'm in the waiting room.
Oh, okay. Hold that. I'll be right there.
It worked. We'll wait for a few others. There's Kelly. Lindsay, do you see everybody here? That should be here, or that was here? We didn't lose anybody, right?
I think we lost one person.
Okay, there we go. Karen's coming in. Okay, well, Karen's a committee member, so we can't see her. All right. We are now back to resuming the public session on the matter of the stipulation agreement that we have been discussing. And at this point, then, as a matter of public comment, were there any other public comments that wanted to be offered before we move to a motion on the agreement? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the stipulation agreement in the matter of Benjamin Gates. I see Tim Luders Dumont has made the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I heard a second, so it's good enough for me. I think that was Kelly. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of accepting the motion signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? By the same sign. Okay, we are, the ayes have it, and the ayes appear to have it. The motion has, oh, I see Lindsay's got her hand
Right.
up.
Just, for the record, 2 abstentions for professional
Okay.
regulations subcommittee.
Okay, then the motion passes. The motion has moved on. We will go to our next item on the agenda, which is the update on the mandatory 2025 FIP training. And again, I will turn over to Director Brickell.
Thank you, Chair. This is just an update for council members to know that the mandatory 2025 fair and impartial policing training has been put out. I met with chiefs and sheriffs and agency heads last Friday just to describe that process and what they need to do to sign up to get onto that. An email went out to all of them with an expression to make sure that it gets out to every law enforcement officer. So I wanted to make sure that this council knew that that training was out. It's on our website under in-service training. If any council members want to get onto that to review what that training looks like, it's just a matter of signing up an account that is no cost. You'll be able to take that training and go through the modules and see what that looks like and take the testing that goes along with it. So again, this could not have happened without a lot of work in-house here, but without the help of council members that were impacted not only by this training, but helped us put it out. It's the first time in my history that I can even remember where outside council members out of law enforcement were participants in providing the training. And so this is a great step forward as far as I'm concerned, and very much appreciated by me and the staff here for those that helped put that together for us. So again, that's out. If anybody wants to take a look at that, it's on our website. It's under in-service training, and anybody can log on to that and take that training, including those that are impacted by the fair and impartial policing training. If they choose to go on and take a look at that, they'll have an idea of what's being put out to the law enforcement officers. That's it, other than one other thing I wanted to bring up, only because I don't see Lisa on. Lisa was attending training today, and I told her that I would bring it up under this section in the meeting, is that during the last fair and impartial policing subcommittee meeting, there was discussion about all of those that are impacted and nervous about what is going on in our state and what's going on with the current administration and how it's impacting other communities outside of the fair and impartial policing training. And there was discussion amongst the members of the Fair and Impartial Policing Committee that they wanted to contemplate the council coming out with a statement statewide that would send a message to those that have been impacted or are feeling a little bit nervous about what their future might look like in the state of Vermont. There was references to, I guess, the Department of Corrections has put out a statewide statement. And so that's where the conversation was going within the FIP subcommittee. What I recommended to them was that first, maybe vet this process out to the full council to see how the council felt about such a statement. And if the council was supportive of that, in theory, then they could, if they chose to craft what that statement might look like and then have that ratified by the council before putting out that statement. So again, this was something that Lisa was going to bring up as a member of the subcommittee, and she's not available to do that today. So I'm just bringing that for you for potential discussion.
Thanks, Chris. Justin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's hard to find the lower hand and the unmute button all at the same time. So I had one quick question for the director. I was asked, is that link going to be good all year, basically? Because we have two folks who just went out on long-term leave. And so I just was asked if that will be active for the duration of the year, because I believe that's the time frame to get the training accomplished.
That will be active for the rest of the year and probably then some. And if I could point one other thing out, we tried to think of everything that could go wrong with this training, and I thought we had it all. But one thing that I overlooked was we had a request from a couple of agencies. Could they print a certificate? No, you can't. We didn't think of that. However, when the training is completed, if you go back to the homepage, as someone who has taken the training, it shows that you have taken all the modules and it shows 100% that you have completed it. So if you just print that page, if that's what you want to give to your agency head to show that you've completed it, you can do that. But that's not necessary for us. We will have a record through a spreadsheet that comes to us.
Thank you. And then the other thing I was just going to say on the second point, not very long-winded, I would be supportive of the council making a statement on to what Lisa was talking about. So that's just my 2 cents.
Great, thank you. Tim, please.
So yeah, and so a little bit of a comment that's a non-comment. But so if everyone reads, and everyone should read the whole policy, the written policy, I felt like I had to read it verbatim when I helped with some of the training, but that was part of the job to not stray too far from it. So in that vein, and this is maybe a future discussion from when Lisa's back here and we have a full-time FIP person with the council and the academy, but if we did put out a statement, it should be very similar to what's in the council, to what's in the policy and the introduction of the policy, because there's some good, really excellent stuff in there, verbiage, as they say, that I think is in the policy, and so statements should closely track with that and not deviate too far, both for the consistency perspective, but also in the iteration of learning. You see things different ways. It could be a statement that the council has put out the policy. There's training available, written policy, and here's a statement that follows along with the fact the policy has now been up to date pursuant to statute, and tracking with that language that's in there is something, if we did a statement from the council, that I would encourage, because there's good stuff in there. Amanda's not here to verbatim read it out loud, but there's some good stuff in there that we all agreed on, and Justin and I worked on that, and others that are here, Karen, that I felt really good about how the introductory language was put together.
Great, thanks, Tim. Trevor.
I would wholeheartedly agree with Tim's kind of presentation on a development of a statement. I think that There was a lot of really hard work on the current policy with stakeholder groups, with the members of the council, our very diverse council that we have. And I think trying to parallel or incorporate that policy as really the basis of the statement speaks to where we are here in Vermont, where we've worked really hard to get to, and we'll highlight that. So I was supported in that vein.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. Do we have any other observations? I think I'm hearing some consensus on proceeding in this direction and doing so along the lines of the work that's been done, and particularly reflecting the policy. I think it would be helpful. We could add to the agenda for the April meeting, Lisa, to come back and maybe have something crafted that would draw on the comments that we heard today, about what that would look like. And we can continue that discussion. It's only a few weeks out, so we're pretty close to April, so we'll keep it on the agenda. Great. Do we have any announcements or other items that members would like to share? That concludes our agenda then, and just a reminder that our next meeting will be April 2 at 10 a.m. and we'll have some more materials out for that. If there are any other items that council members would like to see on the agenda, that would be great. Please forward them up to the director, myself, and we'll get them on. So, hearing no other items, I will entertain a motion for this body to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved and seconded.
Second.
All right, there we go. I thought we'd have to be here today. So, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by acclaim. We will see you all in about 2 weeks and a day.
Feel better,
you.
Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye-bye.